Thank you very much, Bob. And with that, I'd like to introduce the last speaker of this session, Mrs. Ann Johnson, Vice President, Strategic Enterprise and Cybersecurity at Microsoft.
Thank you very much. So you could actually get a complex being the last speaker of the morning, given that everyone has departed. And I need the clicker. It's going to be a bit challenging for me to advance the slides without it. Okay, I think we'll work from the podium then. We don't seem to have the clicker up here. No problem, yeah. It's fine, it actually works for me. So I want to talk, so you heard Chris Young talk a bit about how we need to partner as an industry, and then you heard Gil talk a lot about how there's a lot of complexity in the industry. So I'm actually going to bring those thoughts together and talk about how partnering is going to reduce the complexity in the industry, and it's one of the most important things we can possibly do to reduce the complexity within the industry. So as we walk through the presentation, if you think about the digital state, and I think about when I started in technology, I've been in technology, this is my 30th anniversary in tech. So I think about how easy it was then, right? I walked into my first job. In my first job, I had a green screen. I logged in. The biggest concern for anybody in a data center, like a CIO, was actually the concern that somebody might plug a phone line right into the back of a server in the data center. Now you think about actually the whole digital state. You think about IoT, you think about OT, you think about mobile workers, people traveling around the world with their own devices. You think about them being in your environment in different regions of the world. And you think about actually how that impacts your need to both have them be incredibly productive, but also have those same users be incredibly secure, and the different assets that they're touching within the organization. And when you think about that digital estate and you think about it from a security standpoint, we add the complexity of the fact that as an industry, we're incredibly proliferating the amount of growth that we have of vendors. So at the RSA conference this year in San Francisco, there were something like 1,300 vendors. When you are a program management inside cybersecurity, inside public sector, inside enterprise, that's an incredible amount of complexity. You want to secure the enterprise. You want to build the best tools. You want to buy the best tools to secure the enterprise. But in order to do that, you also need to get the most effectiveness out of the tools. And how do you do that when you're managing 40, 75, or even 150 different vendors inside your environment? We as the vendors have a responsibility to actually provide you with the best capabilities that we can and the best use of the capabilities that we can. And if you look at the vendor community, you'll understand that we need to actually circle the wagons. We talk about it a lot at Microsoft. We talk a lot about how we don't want to contribute to the problem. We want to actually increase the cost of an attack for the attacker. We want to lower the cost for the enterprise to defend themselves, and we want to deliver security that matters. But guess what? We actually know that we can't do all that alone. It is actually necessary to be part of an ecosystem. And I do know that my slides are flickering back there. It's a security control to keep you from taking pictures, I think, something like that. Anyway, so from a pure intelligence standpoint, we invest heavily in making sure that not only do we get signaling from a wide, diverse set, but also from a large volume of signal. But guess what? It's not enough that Microsoft puts this nice graph together and we put it together to power our solutions and to make them more secure. What's more important about this graph is that we actually make the API available. The API available for both our customers and for our industry partners. So you can take advantage of the intelligence that we see. You can take advantage of the machine learning that we apply to that intelligence so that instead of seeing millions of alerts that you're pumping into whatever your analytic system is, we're hopefully feeding you the highest order indicators of attack and indicators of compromise. And we do that with our partners, we do that with our competitors, and we do that certainly with our customers. We also do that with governments globally. And we think it's part of our responsibility of being a company that is in the security industry to actually provide that data and to truly partner with that data. The thing about the data is that we've talked about partnering, by the way, for years in the industry. We've talked about partnering since at least 2007, 2008 in the security industry, but we've never done it really well. And there's a couple of reasons we've never done it really well. One of the reasons we've never done it really well is because we haven't had something like the cloud to actually enable that sharing. If you want to enable sharing at scale, you actually need a mechanism for delivery of that sharing at scale. The cloud is actually allowing us to do some things that we weren't able to do previously from a sharing standpoint. The second thing is, when we talk about sharing, we talk a lot about it, but we don't actually tell you how to share. We say, we must share. Everyone stands up on stage and says, we must share. Chris talked about a lot of things that McAfee has put in place to enable sharing. We want to talk about it from a much more practical standpoint. If you're going to share, and again, you're going to deliver security that matters, then what should you be sharing about, right? You should be sharing about things with standardization. You should be thinking about things about your SecOps, right? How do your SecOps people actually work? We all talk about a human shortage in security. So how do the SecOps people actually maximize the tools for them to make them the most effective they can possibly be? And then we think about what partners, right? What partners are going to effectively allow us to share data? We think about MSSPs. How can we enable the managed security service providers to get the best data, to build the best tooling, and let them in on our intelligence so they can deliver the best service to their ultimate end customers? We think about IT risk management solutions and SIM vendors, right? SIM is, a long legacy solution in security, and everyone wants to. It's kind of like I was with a customer last night, and we were talking about core antivirus, right? And we said, I made the comment, I said, you don't turn off antivirus. Customers ask me every day, can I turn off my antivirus? And my answer is always consistent. You don't take the locks off your doors just because you've installed a security camera. You're going to be living with antivirus for a long time, because even if it only catches a couple of things, it catches a couple of things. It's the same with SIM. I have yet to meet a company that loves their SIM platform. It doesn't matter what SIM platform it is. It's a necessary tool. Either it's a necessary tool for compliance, for logging, or you're using it for some type of analytics. But it does give you some value in your environment. So how do we make those costs that you've already spent, all that sunk cost, how do we make it more usable to you? How do we make it more intelligent? How do we make the output from it something that's actually more actionable by your SecOps department? And that's one of our goals. And of course, we have a lot of partnerships with companies like Palo Alto. We partner heavily across the industry. We have the Microsoft Security Intelligence Association. We believe strongly that the vendors, again, have a responsibility to partner. We also believe strongly that if you think about defeating the bad actors, you think about their partnering, you're thinking about what they are doing across a global ecosystem, how well funded they are. They don't have to worry about regulations, right? They share intelligence. You can go online and pay $500 for a toolkit and you will get an SLA. You will get software updates. You will get 24/7 support. That's a shared ecosystem. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business in cybercrime. So as an industry, if we don't get smart about it and say that we have competition, but that competition can also be cooperative, that competition can also be partnered, we're not going to actually be able to increase the cost of the attack to the attacker and lower the cost to our enterprises of defending against that attack. So some of the applications that we're working on very heavily, and I want to talk a lot about threat. I want to talk a lot about threat from the standpoint of detection. We've changed the paradigm of security in the past 5 to 7 years from a paradigm of let's keep everyone out, let's protect, to a paradigm of the bad guys are in, let's detect, let's contain them, let's do some segmentation in our environments, let's understand how we minimize the damage in our environments. In order to do that, we actually have to do intelligence sharing. We have to make sure at Microsoft that if we see a threat in Beijing, by the time that threat potentially can go to Brazil, it doesn't actually happen because we've stopped it. We also need to make sure that we've shared that information with the public sector agencies that might be impacted. We also need to make sure we share that information with our industry partners so they can take action on it. We're not any good if we go alone. We're only good if we go together. So when you think about driving down the complexity in the industry, when you think about several thousand security vendors in the industry, when you think about the fact that our end users are behaving differently, that we're traveling the globe, that we're sharing different devices, you think about the IoT systems that come together, and you think about all of the different things related to mobile workers, bring your own device, you think about OT systems, right? You think about how you're going to actually have defense in depth, or how you're going to actually defend against the next NotPetya attack or the next WannaCrypt attack. When you think about those things, you need to think about security as a global ecosystem. You need to think about companies like Microsoft and challenge us, by the way, every single day to be better. You need to tell us what you need, but you need to challenge us to continually partner with you, to partner with public agencies, and to partner with every other vendor in the industry to make sure that together we actually go and defend the attackers. Because at the end of the day, they're attacking all of us, and they're attacking us at scale. And they're not going to stop attacking us at scale because there's pretty good ROI on it for them today. With that, I am the final speaker that you have today. So I want to thank you for your time and attention, and I want to thank Tel Aviv University in Israel. I love coming to Israel. I've been coming to Israel since about 2005 when I worked for a company that acquired an organization called Cyota. Have a great rest of the conference, and I wish you the best.